Hi everyone, welcome to the Robert Show. Super excited because I have a special guest today, Ryan Howard from BMC. Today we are talking about how to keep mainframe systems running when ransomware hits. Ryan Howard from BMC AMI Security joins me to break down what cyber resiliency really means, the controls that matter, and how to recover fast with confidence. So I'm excited about this topic. We'll be talking a lot about building a cyber resiliency and ransomware recovery plan and how it all works. I've heard great things about Ryan from BMC. He's a rock star when it comes to security. So I'm excited to chat. And Ryan, first of all, it's your debut. So welcome to the Robert Show. Super excited to chat with you and super excited to learn more about, cyber resiliency, ransomware, and much more. So welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. And it's very nice to meet you as well. Super excited to talk today. And let me just go ahead and introduce myself. Ryan Howard.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Howard, BMC. I'll be a 5-year employee next month, which is really exciting. And I could give you my official title, but I think of myself more as a subject matter scholar. I'm not going to say expert because you can't really be an expert if you cut off learning. And we're always learning. We have to adapt. And
True.
after almost 20 years in cybersecurity in various capacities, it's amazing how the threat landscape constantly changes. So it's always a case of learning. So I will always call myself a subject matter scholar, and I will always continuously learn and try to help protect. But truly, my goal is this. I want to keep everybody with a mainframe out of the news. I want you to have the right type of protection, the right type of layered approach, and really just make sure that you at least have the knowledge of how to protect yourself against a nefarious act. So that's the goal I have every day. And again, thank you for this platform. It's wonderful to speak with you today.
Fantastic, Ryan. I love the approach, and I love the approach of learning every day and being on in that front where you can learn and obviously help the community. So let's get into it. What exactly is cyber resiliency for mainframe environments, and how does it differ from traditional cybersecurity approaches? If we can start there and then get into more details.
Yeah, absolutely. So, great question, by the way. So, really, when we talk about cyber resilience, we're really talking about having a framework, having an approach, but also the before and the after, because you have to assume that the worst case might
Mm-hmm.
happen. So, in the land of cybersecurity for the mainframe, we still want to follow some traditional great models. Like we'll take NIST, for example, which is identify, protect, detect,
Mm-hmm.
respond, and recover. And as you can hear, like the first three of those are what are you doing before the incident occurs? The other two are what happens after. So you really have to be prepared for anything. But there's one more kernel to that. There's one more additional piece, and that's adapting. As you have your framework in place, as you start to build your structure, as you may have ironed out everything, you have to realize that things will constantly evolve. So we have to be able to adapt and learn from the things that are happening, and then constantly challenge ourselves to protect against that. But let's look at how it differs. So in the land of the
Mm-hmm.
mainframe, since we do closely follow that approach to the x86, the major difference is budget. Security is a very large focus in distributed environments. There's a lot more budget that's thrown that way because of the old adage of the mainframe is secure. Now, we believe that the mainframe is inherently secure, but
Right.
reality is that because it's the most secureable platform, there's things that need to take place. And what could potentially be a threat are there's still risk with the users that touch the mainframe. They could be changing
Mm-hmm.
policy or configurations, and even new applications that you push out into the mainframe environment. Those could be creating vulnerabilities as well. So just going with the adage of it's secure, yes, it's very, very securable. But remember, just because the mainframe is secure, it doesn't mean that you don't have, say, users with privileged access. And just because I may not be able to grab all their information on the mainframe, it doesn't mean that I can't do a search, figure out what those credentials or what they might look like from the distributed side, start a spear phishing campaign, log them, and then actually get those credentials to get on the mainframe as well. So it's really from the main
Right.
side, you have to think from both sides of the house. Where's that weak point? If it is going to be the mainframe, how do I utilize the distributed side to get on the mainframe? So it's very interesting. It's very challenging, but thankfully, we're actually getting ahead of that curve and really figuring out ways to make sure that individual organizations are protected.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the enterprise leaders are more interested in understanding how these uh, threats can be, secured way before it happens,
Right.
and how is, obviously, how are the solution providers helping them to get to the next level with the modern environment that we are kind of living in, and that's why the approach needs to change a little bit, and we need to think it that way. Just a follow-up question around that, Ryan. In the face of modern ransomware threats, so what are the key components of an effective cyber resiliency strategy, but also how does the plan kind of work out? Kind of curious to know a little bit more about that.
Really, really good question. So I just talked about NIST a little bit, but let's also think
Yep.
about zero trust. So zero trust is no
Mm-hmm.
trust, always verify. Always apply zero trust. Always assume the worst. Always assume that you've been potentially hacked. And when I say that, I'm not doing this as a
Totally.
fear campaign. It's just you need to do that to start building the framework. Think like a hacker. Where could my potential vulnerabilities be, and how do I shore myself up? When I started years before I came here, I was working at IBM in 2017, and that's when I started looking at the data breach report. And it's been
Right.
over 200 days since 2017 that a breach is that it takes for a breach to be detected on the distributed side. So think about that. All these years, 8 years, over 200 days, that hasn't really come down. And that's detected. And then the cleanup takes a lot of days on top of that as well. So when you think about the mainframe,
Wow.
here you have code that may be in place for decades. And if you're not proactively looking on the mainframe and you're not thinking, wait, I'm probably breached in some way, shape, or form, what could be happening from a breach perspective on the mainframe? How much of your sensitive data could be exfiltrated? What are those true threats? So you got to focus on just believing that there's a problem, so you can start looking like somebody that really is going to dig in there and think, what are my vulnerabilities? How do I shore those up?
Hmm.
Response and recovery, as I mentioned, that is super important. How can I quickly respond? How can I quickly recover? And then really just making sure that you're bringing all the relevant stakeholders together to align them to take the appropriate steps if a cyber attack were to occur. Because there's going to be multiple people involved in a
True.
potential recovery. So you need to make sure that they know in advance what their roles are, what steps they have to take, and really have a plan. Don't wait until the actual event occurs to try to invent it then you're already lost. To be an effective organization, if you plan ahead and truly embrace cyber resilience, you're just one of those quick incidents that happened that's quickly forgotten. It's the ones that linger, that reoccur, that keep on coming up in the news, and you don't want to be that one either. So, one final
Right.
point, the mainframe users are your number one threat, that access. And I talked a little bit about keylogging or one of those.
Mhm.
Treat any privileged account as a potential threat. And when I say that, make sure your solution includes behavior analytics. You need to understand baselines on how a user normally behaves. So it's critical to know when anybody that appears to be a particular user is on your network or on your mainframe, if they are acting out of the normal scope of their behavior, that you're getting alerted on it, that you can take next steps, that you can prevent that next action from happening. So
Right.
that's some of those keys that I look at when trying to successfully mount an effective campaign to prevent the worst case from happening.
Ryan, I'm kind of also thinking a little bit about the challenges that these organizations are facing while implementing new security controls and
Yeah,
cyber resiliency. How does that kind of go hand in hand? Because when we are kind of also thinking about the strategy, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of challenges that the organization face, even when implementing these new security controls and cyber resiliency. So, can you share a little bit about that part as well?
of course. So I alluded to before that budget is always going to be a concern. How do we get active budget to try to combat this? But outside of that budget, you got to think about the time, the skills, and the solutions that are available. So when you think about that, distributed, in my experience, because I worked for 15 years and distributed in various cybersecurity roles, there's something like 4,000 security tools available. Whereas the mainframe, to my knowledge, is under 50. So there's a huge advantage to the distributed world for the amount of solutioning that's actually available. So while there's
Right.
less, the good news is there's actually ones that are laser focused on things that are important for having that appropriate cyber resilience framework. So that being said, the understanding of what truly are the best solutions for what you're trying to accomplish. I'd love to say that, hey,
Right.
my suite is going to cover everybody and everything. But the reality is some people have very specific tailored needs. And that's why you need to do a little bit of investigation. But that comes down to the
Mhm.
there's a shortage of skills to begin with in the mainframe because talent is retiring and people are getting up there in age and they're starting to think about different paths. So the people that focus on mainframe, you want them to be part of this investigation because they have the mainframe skills, but the problem is that they are so focused on other areas right now because they have so much in their job responsibilities. And the way that they think, they're thinking in terms of efficiency and uptime, whereas somebody with a secure mindset and secure knowledge is going to think from security.
Right.
So the hope is, of course, well, could we get somebody like in computer science or cybersecurity out of a university? But most universities that I've come across, there's not mainframe programs that are specifically promoting this. And that's a really big gap that's out there in the industry, because COBOL is going to come around. And I mean, I know a lot of companies are maybe looking at strategies for what happens next with the mainframe, but the mainframe is just so efficient. I mean, 7 nines of efficiency, 99.5 more nines, that it's going to be here for a while. And we've seen growth in it.
Right.
So how do we get the next generation of mainframers out there? So is it a case of, can we get people taught up? Can we actively promote that ourselves? Can we get organizations that we are partnered with to do that? Or how do we just get universities out there? How do we get that skill sets? What do we do with an online? Because we need to have that next wave, because over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have very few true mainframers left. And that's going to be a serious problem. So making sure that the right people that are mainframers, that understand all the mainframe and the complexities of the mainframe, getting them to think in security terms as well. So what's that happy marriage? And that goes back to getting those appropriate stakeholders, starting to build the resilience plan, but having them work together and having them each assume responsibility so that collectively we go forward with strengthening the mainframe.
I love it. I love the approach. I love how you kind of shared all the details. So thanks for doing that, Ryan. And also, I had a curious question, because you talk to a lot of customers, you talk to a lot of community members, also a lot of security teams out there. Do you have any real world case scenario where cyber resiliency actually made the difference during a ransomware attack that you can share with our audience? Anything just helps us understand the depth of how this all works in the real world scenario.
Absolutely. And instead of just really putting this on one real world scenario, let's look at everything ransomware related. So in 2024, industry wide, ransomware attacks rose by 56% over 2023. So that's an increase of 56%, or 1.5x over 2023. But the interesting part about that is that the payments went down by 35%. So even though there was much more by way of attacks, the people that were paying, that went down by 35%. So at first, you're thinking, okay, so there's better proactive tooling, there's better prevention, but it's not just the protection. Organizations are starting to prepare for the worst with immutable backups, and that goes into the response and recovery. Immutable backups cannot be seen or touched by a threat actor, and it lets you recover to a point in time. If you can recover, you don't have to pay a ransom. So then the real question just becomes, how much downtime do I have in my appetite? So one of the things I'm most excited about from the BMC approach to ransomware and recovery for the mainframe is we have a symbiotic relationship with any point in time immutable backup solution for the mainframe. We're here to identify what safe copy you can recover from. So that can be your whole mainframe environment is ransom, but we can still identify when the attack took place, what data sets were touched, and what that appropriate time is to recover from.
Love it.
You can then go ahead, make the appropriate choice of when you need to recover. Now, you might have to pick an older file because it was validated hours before that. So now you have this gap in time. Well, what do I do with that gap in time? Because there's a ton of transactions. And how do I make sure that this doesn't affect my customers? Well, first things first, take that one, bring it back online, and then we need to clean up any potential program files that might have issues, because you don't want a reoccurrence. A safe recovery means it doesn't happen again, and we can learn from it. So cleaning up any of the program files, create JCLs, execute those, get the program files that might have ransomware on them back to where they were. And then the final piece of that is replacing those lost transactions. So we need to roll you forward to that point of attack with all those transactions back in place. And that can't just be individual to say DB2. I mean, that has to cover DB2, IMS, VSIM. Make sure that no transactions are lost, because even though you have some downtime in there, which your solution would give you rapid recovery, we give you rapid recovery of the databases while catching lost transactions, a customer is more willing to forgive because a localized incident didn't take too long and it didn't reoccur. So finally, you're back online. Everything is running business as usual, but this is still a great opportunity to learn. So the last piece of that solution that we offer is really the post-recovery forensics. And with that, we can give you just what the attacker did, because we can copy what they're doing by the minute, and we'll just cover any of your elevated privilege accounts, and then any that might add escalated privileges. We'll start creating
Nice.
snapshots every single minute. We can piece those together so we can show you the green screens, everything that they type. So now, one, you're covered from compliance and regulatory, but you also have the learning experience. You learned all the vulnerabilities, and you can beef up your security. So if you do have an attack, you have the whole session laid out of everything that attacker did, and you're now
Right.
protected moving forward. So that's really those difference makers. It's having that symbiotic relationship with those other solutions. And as funny as it is, I'm telling you, I'm most excited about how I can have a symbiotic relationship with other immutable backup solutions and bring them to a point in forward time, fully safe, and then with all the knowledge of everything that occurred to protect you. So it's an exciting time. We do have great solutions that are out there to protect us and offer that true cyber resiliency.
Love it. I loved all these insights, Ryan. So thanks for sharing and giving us the real world scenario and how it works, and not only just one, but in industry itself, in the specific industries, and how it all works, and what are the organizations kind of thinking about how they wanting to make sure that downtime is minimum, and also giving us the real time understanding of how things have been changing over the years as well. So that's fantastic, Ryan. I have one more question for you and your team, is basically because you all put out so much content out there. If folks want to learn more about the different things that BMC is releasing, if they want to maybe take a demo or something else that they can learn from articles, blogs, white papers, where can they do that? And if they want to reach out to you as well, which is the best place to do that?
Awesome. Great question. So first and foremost, bmc.com, great place to start. And I mean, I know I talk solely about security, but we have tools for development, for automation, for efficiency,
Nice.
all kinds of things. So we're all about helping you across the mainframe and just getting better responses and better, obviously, just better overall performance from the mainframe itself. As far as reaching us, BMC, click on any area you have, just fill out your information. We will happily get in touch with you. Security related, you want to reach out to me, love to hear from you. Two different ways. LinkedIn, I am Ryan Howard at BMC, and I'm the only Ryan Howard at BMC, so I'm that one will reach out. I am a LinkedIn open networker, so send me a request. I'll happily accept it, and you can private message me any question you have. I'll happily share information and just some of the experiences that I've had. We can be completely transparent. Second part, my email address. That is Ryan, RYAN
Nice.
_Howard, HOWARD at bmc.com. Finally, I'll go one step further. My personal mobile number. If you have some type of security question on the mainframe, and if I don't answer my phone, just kindly send me a text after. But my personal mobile phone is 978-505-1091. So reach out anytime. And even if you were thinking about a different option that you've heard about at BMC, you can always reach out to me. I'll certainly point you in the right direction as well. So we have a great internal ecosystem, and I promise you I can find you the resource that you're looking for.
I love it, Ryan. So detailed, so nicely you've explained it. That's how I love how my guests are so approachable. And for those who are watching today, you have everything: how you can reach out to BMC, how you can learn, how you can reach out to Ryan. He's so approachable. He's happy to help out there. So feel free to reach out to there, to Ryan and the team as well. Ryan, such a pleasure chatting with you on the Ravit Show. Thanks for sharing all the great insights. We'll definitely have a 2.0 where we'll be discussing more about what you've been doing in the security. But that's a wrap, Ryan. Thanks again for all the clear insights. For those, if this helped, share it with your team and start resiliency drill this week. I would say I'm Ravit Jain, founder and host of the Ravit Show. See you again on the Ravit Show. But thanks once again, Ryan, for doing this. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, and I hope you enjoyed this fall day behind me. So if you get a
I
chance
love it.
in New England around this time of year, it's beautiful all over. The best drive you'll ever have.
Thanks, Ryan. Such a pleasure.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Take care.